Hi, welcome to my video on the equation of a line in standard form. Equation of a line in standard form. That form is ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c belong to the integers. And the integers, as you know, or should know, that's 0, 1, 2, 3, ... and -1, -2, -3, ... That's the integers. And both a and b cannot be 0 at the same time. One of them can be 0, but the other one can't. And a always has to be positive. So notice a and b are integers, no fractions, no decimals. So, and they got to be positive. Examples: 2x plus 3y equals 6. Notice the order x, y number. 4x minus 5y equals -2. Notice they're all integers. X and y equals a number. And the same 9x plus 7y minus 3. Notice we have 2x minus 0y equals 5. We can have the b can be 0. Or, as in E, the a can be 0. 0x plus 6y equals -1, standard form. Let's do some examples of rearranging the equation in standard form. Remember, we got to have x, y equals a number, with a being positive and no fractions or decimals. So x goes first, then the y moves over to become plus 4y, and the 7 is okay. And we have, notice, we have to have 6x minus 2y equals 9. It has to be ax plus by equals c. And we cannot have a to be negative. So that means we'll multiply both sides, or multiply the whole equation, or both sides, by -1. Multiplying both sides by -1 gives me positive 6x plus 2y equals -9. So if the x coordinate is negative, multiply everything by -1. And let's rearrange this one. So we have to have x first, so it's 7x minus 6y equals plus 2. So the x moves to the left to become positive, then there's the y, and the constant moves to the right to become positive. So ax plus by equals c. B, another section, and we have, notice we have x, y constant, but we're not allowed to have a negative. So we multiply both sides by -1. Multiply both sides by -1. 4x minus y equals 2. X is not allowed to be, the coefficient of x is not allowed to be negative. And number 2, the 5x has to move to the left to become negative. Then it's your y, which is not moving. And the 4 moves to the right to become negative. And I have to multiply both sides by -1. Negative times positive. Negative times a negative is positive 5x minus 10y plus 4. Multiplying -1 by negative is positive. Negative times positive is negative. Negative times negative is positive. And number 3, I like to write them in the correct order first and then look at it. So I have to have x on the left, then the y is next on the left, and then the constant is on the right. So the y moves over to become plus, the x, the 6 moves over to become negative, and I have a negative with the x, so we multiply both sides by -1. Negative times negative is positive. Negative times a positive is a negative. And 2 negatives makes a positive when you multiply. C, again, now we have some fractions in the right order, but we have an x. The standard form is ax plus by equals c. Ax plus by equals c, but we're not allowed to have any fractions. So that means the LCD for this fraction is 2. So we multiply both sides by 2. So 2 times a half is 1. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 1 is 2. So that's 1x plus 6y equals 2. And we check, is it in the right order? Nope. So we put the x first, then the y, and then the constant. So the x is already on the left, so we didn't change it. The y is already on the left, so we didn't change the sign. But the 4 moves over to become a minus, because the 4 has to go to the right side. We have the right order, ax plus by equals c, and we multiply the LCD for the fraction is a 3, so we multiply both sides by 3. Okay, oh, I got 1 3 there, right there. So 3 times 1/3 is 1. 3 times -2 is -6. And 3 times -4 is -12. And we have standard form. And number 3 is not in the right order, so we go 2/3 x minus 7/2y equals 5. Now the LCD for 3 and 2, common denominator is like a least common multiple, 6. 6 is a common denominator for 3 and 2. So that means we have to multiply both sides by 6. 6 times 2/3. And let me do the multiplication here. 6 times 2/3, 6/1. 3 into 6 goes 2, so that gives me a 4x. And 6 times -7/2, 6/1. 2 into 6 goes 3, so that gives me -21y. And 6 times 5 is 30. We have standard form. So if you have a fraction, you multiply all the terms by the LCD to eliminate the fraction. Practice. Write each in standard form. Practice means pause the video and work these out. Here we go. Do one at a time. So we have 5x minus 2y equals -1. And we have to have the right order. -6x, y moves over to become a plus. And 4 moves to the right to become a minus. And we have to have no negative with the a, so we multiply by -1 on both sides. Negative times negative is positive 6x. Negative times a positive is -3y. -1 times -4 is 4. Standard form. And we have an x. We have no y, so this is 0y. Oh. So there's no y coordinate here, so that means it must have been a 0. Because 0 times 4 is 0. So 0 times y is 0. 0 times any number is 0. So the y is not there. Or if the x is not there, you have to put a 0 in for. Number 4, we have to go with the right order first. Let's go with the right order. X is okay, y is okay. The 2 moves over to become negative. So the LCD we only have one fraction, so the LCD is 5. So multiply both sides by 5. 5 times 1/x is x. 5 times -1 is -5y. 5 times -2 is -10. Descending order, ax plus by equals, descending order, standard form. Ax plus by equals c. And we have to put them in the right order. -3/4 x plus 5y equals 1/3. We have the right order, but we have a negative, so we can probably do 2 things this time. The LCD for 3, both fractions have the same LCD, same denominator of 3. So let's multiply both sides, not only by 3, but -3. -3. Why? Because we should have the coefficient in front of the x positive. So 3 is canceled out, so I get a positive 12. -3 times 5 is a -15. And a -3 times 1/3 is -1. So notice I did a double. I did the negative and multiply by 3 because I do not want any fractions and I don't want a negative with the a. And number 6 is 6x minus 4y equals negative 9. X goes first, then y, then the constant. So the x has to move over, become plus. The y is okay, so we don't change it. And the 9 moves to the right to become negative. Number 7 is already in the right order, but we have to multiply by, so this time let's multiply by, instead of doing both of it as I did here, you can do one at a time, but let's multiply by negative 1 first. Just do it twice. So negative 1 gives me 3x minus 2/5 y equals negative 4. So multiplying both sides by negative makes the x coefficient positive. Now the LCD is one fraction. I have a 5, so I multiply both sides by 5. So this time, here I did 2 of it at the same time. Excuse me. I did the negative 3, the negative and the 3 at the same time. So 5 times 3 is 15. 5 times negative 2/5 y is negative 2y and negative 20. And number 8, I have to do negative 5, then the y, and then the negative 3/4. So we have an LCD of 6, 2, and 4. Excuse me. That gives me a 12. Common multiple for 6, 2, and 4 is 12. So let's multiply by the negative first. Okay, negative times a half, negative, and a negative times negative positive. Okay, now let's multiply by 12. Instead of doing the 2 of them at one time, let's take our time and only do the negative and then. So 12 times 5 over 6. 6 into 12 goes 2, so that gives me 10x. And 12 times a negative a half. 2 into 6 goes 3, so it's negative. Oh, it's not 6, it's 12. Sorry. That's a 6, so it's negative. And, excuse me, 12 times 3/4. 4 and 12 goes 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So, practicing changing to standard form. Remember, to make the a positive by multiplying both sides by negative, and multiply all the terms by, if you have a fraction, you multiply all the terms by the LCD, then you'll have no fractions left in your equation. Write each in standard form. So standard form is ax plus by equals c. And again, a, there's no fractions, no decimals, they're integers, and there's no negative with the a. So 2x plus y equals 3, done. And the x goes first, 3/4 x plus y equals negative 2. And we can multiply by negative because we have negative 1 on both sides. So it gives us 3/4 x minus y equals 2. And now the LCD for, it's only one fraction, so the LCD is 4. So 4 times the left side, 4 times the right side. 4 times 3/4 is 3. 4 times negative 1y is negative 4y. 4 times 2 is 8. And standard form, let's move the bracket first. Y equals 3x plus 6. And we move the x over, make it negative, leave the y, and leave the 6. Only the x moves to the left side. And we multiply both sides by negative 1. Negative 1, negative 1. So negative times a negative is positive 3x. Negative times a positive is negative y. Negative 1 times 6 is negative 6. Standard form. And we have to remove the bracket first. So y minus 1 equals 2x plus 8. 2 times x, 2 times 4. The x goes to the left side, become negative. the y stays, and the minus 1 becomes a plus 1. So that gives us negative 2x plus y equals 9. It's in the right order, but I'm not allowed to have a negative, so we multiply both sides by negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 2 is 2x, negative times a positive is negative 1y, and negative 1 times 9 is negative 9. E. Remove the bracket first. Negative 2 over 3 times x, negative 2 over 3x, and negative 2 over 3 times 15, so 3 into 15 was 5, so that gives me a negative 10. And now we move the x to the left, change the sign, leave the y, don't change it. 10 is okay, 6 becomes a minus, so that's 2/3 x plus y equals negative 16. Because I simplify each side first into an x, ax plus by equals c. Now I multiply both sides by 3, the LCD. Multiply by 3. 3 times 2/3 is 2x. 3 times 1 is 3. And 3 times negative 16, negative 48. Notice I have more work this time on this sheet, because the more practice, the more manipulation you do, the better. The more pencil work you do, the better. So we move the bracket. A half times x is a half x. And a half of 8 is negative, half of negative 8 is negative 4. The x moves to the left, the y stays, and the 2 moves to the right. Notice as we move them to transposing, we change the signs. So that gives me negative a half x plus y equals negative 2. Simplify the constant term on the right side. Now we multiply, let's do a double. Let's multiply by negative, and the common denominator is 2, so let's multiply by negative 2. Let's see what happens. Multiply both sides by negative 2. Negative times negative positive. 2 times a half is 1. Perfect. Negative 2 times y is negative 2y. Negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. So again, we need to remove the negative and remove the fraction. So I did both here at the same time. And practice means pause the video and work these out. Here we go. Notice we're doing a lot of manipulation. So negative 2/5 x, y, and a number. And we multiply both sides by not only a negative, but also by 5. So we're multiplying both sides by negative 5. Negative times negative is positive. 5's cancel, and I get a 2. Negative 5 times y is negative 5y. And 1 times negative 5 is, again, you move the x over to make a negative, and we need x to be coefficient to be positive, and no fraction. Y plus 4, let's remove the bracket, 2/3 times x. And 2 into 6 goes 3, that gives me negative 9. Let's see, 2 into 6 goes 3. 3 times 3 is 9, is negative. The x moves to the left, the y stays, and the 4 moves over to become a minus. Negative 2/3 x plus y equals. So this time we're going to multiply both sides by not only a 2, but a negative, because we don't want the x coefficient to be positive. So we multiply both sides by negative 2. Negative 2 times 2's cancel, so I get a 3. Negative times a positive is a negative. And that gives us 26. And y equals negative 5x plus 10. We got to remove the brackets. The 5x moves over, the y stays, and the 10 stays. Perfect. Notice standard form. Ax plus by equals c. No fractions and no negative with the x, no decimals. And 6x plus y equals 2. That's an easy one. Just move the 6 over. Now we got two brackets, so let's remove the brackets. 3 times y, 3 times negative 3. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times negative 12 is a negative 72. The 6 moves to the left to become negative, the y stays, and the 9 becomes positive on the right side. So we have a negative 6x plus 3y equals, and that gives us a negative 63. And we have to multiply both sides by negative 1. Negative times negative positive. Negative times positive is a negative. And we get a 63. Now, change each standard form to slope y-intercept form. So the slope y-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. That means we have to solve these equations for y. So everything goes, the x and the constant goes to the left. So 2y equals negative 4x plus 6. The x moves over to become a minus. But notice that the x goes first and then the constant. Then we divide everything by 2. So y equals negative 2x plus 6. So y equals mx plus b. Slope is negative 2, y-intercept is 3. And the x goes to the left, become minus. The 8 didn't move. Divide everything by negative 4. And y equals negative over negative positive. And notice it reduces, so that's a 3 over 2x plus 2. Always reduce your fraction if you can. And c, negative 3y equals negative 5x plus 21. Again, y equals mx plus b. So the y is on the, in this form, the y is on the left, the x is on the right, and the constant's on the right. The x goes before the y. Divide all the terms by negative 3. They cancel. So that's a 5 over 3x and negative 7. Now, practice means work these out and see what happens. And pause your video, work them out. So negative 6y equals negative 5x minus 6. Plus becomes a minus, then divide by negative 6. Divide all terms by negative 6. Y equals 5 over 6x plus 1. And we move the x to the left, to the right side, sorry, make it a minus. 24 didn't move. And divide all the numbers by 8. You already read dividing both sides by 8, but I'm putting 8 into every term. 8's cancel, so I get a y. Notice I get a negative, but 4 is a factor, GCF, so 4 into 12 goes 3, and 4 into 8 goes 2. And 24 divided by 8 is 3, negative. And I have a negative 10y equals 15 moves to the right, become negative. 20 stays positive, divide by negative 10. 10's cancel, I get a y. Negative divided by negative is positive. And 5 is a GCF, so 5 into 15 goes 3. 5 into 10 goes 2. So that's 3 over 2x. And that's a 10. So that's negative 2. Notice I can go 3 over 2 times x, or I can go negative 3x over 2. Same thing. You have a choice. Okay, lots of practice. Now, what about changing standard form to x-intercept form? Notice I'm reviewing all the different forms. Slope x-intercept form is y equals m times x minus r. It's a slope x-intercept form is the same as factored form. So we have the solver for y, but we need the right side factored. So negative 2y equals negative 8x plus 16. We divide by negative 2 because we have to have y equals. So y equals 4x minus 8. And with factored form, that's slope-intercept form, slope y-intercept form. So we factor out the 4. 4x divided by 4 is x. Negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2. Multiply back. 4 times x, perfect. 4 times negative 2, perfect. So we're changing to y equals m times x minus r, factored form. 3y equals negative 15x minus 15. Divide by 3. We want y to be by itself 1y. Negative 5x minus 5. And the slope is negative 5, so remove the negative 5 by factoring. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is 1x. 1 is understood. Negative 5 divided by negative 5 is plus 1. There's 2 terms here, so there has to be 2 here. There's 2 terms here, so there has to be 2 inside. You can't just get, in this case, you have to put that 1 there, because if you don't put the 1 there, you won't get the negative 5. And the negative 3y equals negative 2x minus 18. Divide by negative 3. Y equals 2 over 3x plus 6. So we have the slope y-intercept form, but we have to factor. We have to remove the 2/3. 2/3 divided by 2/3 is 1x. Now we go with 6 divided by 2/3. That's the same as 6 times 3 over 2. 2 into 6 goes 3. 3 times 3 is 9. So that's a plus 9. Changing to slope x-intercept form. Now I have 3 for you to do. See if you can work these out. Pause your video and work them out. So 3y equals negative 6x minus 6. X comes over to become a minus. Divide by 3. Y negative 2x minus 2. And the slope is negative 2, so we're going to factor out the slope. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is plus 1. And we have to y equals negative 7x plus 28. So remember, it's y equals m times x minus r. But most times you have to write it in the slope y-intercept form first. So we have to solve it for y, guaranteed. So the x moves over to become a minus. Divide by 7. So y equals 7 divided by 7 is 1, so it's a negative 1x plus 4. Notice the 1 is understood. And I have to remove the negative. So it's a negative 1 you're taking out. So negative divided by negative is positive. Positive divided by negative is a negative. So that's the factored form. That's the slope y-intercept form. Slope is negative 1. Y-intercept is plus 4. But in this form, the slope is negative 1, and the x-intercept is 4. Number 3, negative 16y equals negative 8x minus 48. Y equals mx plus b. Got the right order. Divide by negative 16. They cancel to get a y, right? And positive, negative divided by negative, positive 8 into 8 goes 1, 8 into 16 goes 2, and that gives me a plus 3. 48 divided by 16 is 3, and we have to factor out the 1/2. 1/2 divided by 1/2 is 1, and we have to go with 3 divided by a half, so that's 3 times 2 over 1, and that gives 6. And check to see if you're right. Half of 6 is 3, right? Find the equation of each in standard form. Now we have different options, different variables. Find it each in standard form. Pause your video. If you find it long, pause it. Take your time to work these out. Now we want standard form, so which is the best way. I have a slope and a y-intercept. So if I have a slope and a y-intercept, I think about going y equals mx plus b, because my slope is a half and my b is 3. So I can plug that in right away, and if I want standard form, I have to factor out the half. Half divided by half is 1, and again 3 divided by a half is 3 times 2 over 1, which is plus 6. Done. Number 2, I have a slope and a point. Slope and a point. So I could plug that into y minus y1 m outside of x minus x1. That's one option, because I got a slope point form. Y minus y1. That's a 1 there. So here we go. Y has a minus, it becomes a plus. Slope is negative 4. And x, opposite of 5, is negative 5. Now I have the point slope form done. So I'm writing it in standard. I just noticed back here. Sure, this is right. This is okay, but I got to go to standard form. Oh, let's go back. Now that's kind of, I have to move the x over to make it minus. Now I'm going to multiply both sides by negative 2. Negative times negative is positive, just x. Negative 2 times y is negative 2y. And that's negative 6. Now I need standard form. Okay, so let's get back to this one. Put the point in, change the sign, put the slope in. Negative 4 times x. Negative 4 times negative 5. And standard form is x's go on the left side, the y go on the left side, and the constants go on the right side. X moves over to become a plus, 1 moves to become a minus. So 4x plus y equals 19. So I'm changing it to standard form. Number 3, I have a point and an x-intercept. So how do I get the equation? Well, I got an x-intercept, but I definitely need a slope. So this point right here is negative 4, 0. So if I need a slope, then that's x1, y1, x2, y2. So slope y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 is 0 minus y1 is 3. x2 is negative 4. Subtract 1. x1 is 1. And that becomes negative 3 on top, negative 5 on the bottom. So I get 3/5 as my slope. Now I need standard form. So I could go with a slope x-intercept. I could go with a point slope. So it makes no difference. Let's go with the point slope. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So let's go with the point 1, 3, and the slope is 3/5. I could take this point or this one. I elected to take this one. So y minus 3 is 3/5 times x minus 1. Y minus 3 is 3/5 x minus 3/5. So the x goes to the left side, y stays, and minus 3 becomes a plus 3. Now we need to simplify. We have to add the two of these up, so that's over 1. So let's add that up here so we save space. Common denominator is negative 3 over 5. 3 over 1 multiplied by 5 over 5. So that's 3 over 5 plus 15 over 5. So that becomes a negative 12 over 5. I've added the two of these up here with the same denominator, so I wouldn't have to keep writing down the equation. So the x goes okay, y is okay. So I need to multiply, well, everything is in the right order, I just need to multiply everything by negative 5. Negative 5, let's see, that's not supposed to be there. So 5 cancels out, so that's a 3x, sorry about that. Negative 5 times y is negative 5y. And the 5's cancel, and I get a 12. Perfect. Again, I had to find a slope. The equation of a line, you need a slope. So I found the slope by converting the x-intercept to negative 4, 0. And then I worked on the point slope form. A little bit of math, but working the math is good. Good practice. Because when you make errors, you correct them. And the more practice you do, the better. Find the equation of each in standard form. We have a point and a y-intercept. So I have several options here. I could go, one option that most students won't do would be, I have a y-intercept and a point. So how about I wrote down slope y-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Plug in the x and plug in the y and plug in your y-intercept. So y is negative 4. X is negative 1. And the y-intercept is negative 2. So I just put the plus negative 2 there. I could just went negative 2. So that gives me negative 4, negative 1m minus 2. M times negative 1 is negative m. The m moves over to become a plus. The negative 4 moves to the right to become a plus. So m is 2. Slope. So the equation is y equals slope 2, y-intercept negative 2. And we want standard form, so we have negative 2x plus y equals negative 2. The x moves to the left side, become negative, and we multiply both sides by negative 1. That gives us 2x minus y equals 2. So that's one way. Because I have a y-intercept and a point, I can plug it into this form. I could have changed this to a point of 0, 2 and did the slope and worked it out with the point slope form. Number 5, I have 2 points. I have to have a slope. So if we do a slope, x1, y1, x2, y2, I have to do a slope, y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So y2 is a 6 minus y1 is negative 3, and x2 is 1 minus a 4. So double negative is a positive, so that's a 9. And 1 minus 4 is negative 3, so the slope is negative 3. Now I need standard form. So let's go with the 0.16 and the slope of negative 2. I'm doing the point slope form. Y minus 6, slope, negative 3, x minus 1. If I have a slope and a point, put it in the point slope form, and negative 6 minus 3x plus 3, when you multiply negative 3 by the two of these, the x goes to the left, the y stays, and the 6 goes to the right, become plus. So x, y, and a number. Perfect. I found the slope, plugged it into the point slope form, removed the bracket, and then went with standard form is what? What is standard form? ax plus by equals c. And that's the form. So again, different options. It's your. Again, if you keep using point slope form, or y equals mx plus b form, and then convert, you'll be okay. Now, I have a slope and an x-intercept. Oh, that means I got this form. So, my slope is negative 5 over 3. My x-intercept is 6, so that's a minus 6. And if I multiply by negative 5 over 3 times x, and a negative 5 over 3 times negative 6. 6 into negative 6 is negative 2, so that gives me a plus 10. And we move the 5 over. Move the 5 over 3x plus y equals 10. It has to be an x, a y, and a number. Ax plus by equals c. And I multiply both sides by 3. 3 times 5 over 3 is 5x. 3 times 1y is 3y. 3 times 10 is 30. Standard form. Notice I went with slope x-intercept form. I could have converted this to a point. I could have called that 6, 0 and did the point slope form like here and worked it out. But different options. But just for a second, I know it's a little bit longer. If I have a slope of negative 5 over 3 and I convert my x-intercept to 6, 0, that gives me y minus 0, negative 5 over 3 times x minus 6, and that's a y equals negative 5 over 3, and notice, same as here, notice this equation now is almost it's identical to this one. It's because you got a y minus 0, which is just a y, so this equation now is the same. This equation works out to be the same as this one. So if you went with the slope x-intercept form, or you changed it to a point, 6, 0, and plugged it into the point slope form, two of them work out. So that one there is working out the same as there. So if we went from here to this, same thing. So that's standard form, equation of a line in standard form. A little bit long, but I make it so that if you keep practicing, go back and look at your video. If you find you had a little trouble, look it over again. And the more you look it over and the more you understand, the better you get. And again, manipulation with the pencil is excellent. If you like my video, click the like button. If you're not a subscriber, click my subscribe button and my notification bell, because there's more videos coming your way. And if you want to write a comment on my video, go ahead if you're a subscriber. And visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com. 3 sections. Me talks about my degrees and teaching experience. The video talks about the strategies you're going to use to help you learn your math. The content section has my topics that's going to be on my YouTube channel, the number of videos on those topics. And the black font is what's online right now. And the red font is what will be there in the near future. Hope you enjoyed my video. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.